burdens be the joy. Light my fire may not be the things that you desire, but with time we can find common ground. Get up off your ass, turn your life around, So feed your faith, so your doubts will start, and free your mind. It's really not that hard. So feed your faith, so your doubts will start, and free your mind. It's really not that hard. Black people, get up. Your harvest is past due. Regain the glory that eludes you. Brothers, grab hold and see what I see. Sisters, manifest what's been given through prophecy. Get up, so get up, get up, get up. So your doubts will start, and free your mind. It's really not that hard. It's really not that hard. So feed your faith. Oh no. So your doubts will start, and free your mind. Free your mind. It's really not that hard. rise from the ashes of a burnt-out flame. Renew your mind.
Hey, Caro. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Enlightenment and Transformation. Of course, this is Chief Yuya, and I'm greeting you this morning. And for those of you, of course, in other time zones, it's not the dawning. Your day has already been in full swing. And for some of you, you are still in the midst of your nighttime slumber. But in either case, I want to welcome you. And of course, those of you who will tune in at some point, in the future through the archives, I welcome you as well, just as if you're with us right here, right now. Well, we've been getting prepped for our solstice, coming in a little bit over strong, a little bit over 7 days. We'll be dealing with that, and experiencing that crucial and important highlight, not only for the value of our constellations, but also the value of our turning points, through our journey. And as we're growing in our depth of wisdom and our depth of knowledge surrounding this sacred event, we grow in our ability to harness, enjoy, because that's really what it's about, right? More than harnessing the power, but enjoy the value of this sacred event, So I will that as we're going and as we've been teaching and as we've been learning, especially as we spoke about yesterday, it's really, don't just focus on the regeneration of life and the renewal of life, but also focus on the mourning and the letting go and the releasing of a different kind of light, as signified by that rebirth. Whenever something is reborn, something is euthanized. So I definitely will that yesterday's Chiefs Speaks message made it to you all in that sense, so you could grab hold of what you need there. So today I wanted to speak a little bit about another part. If you notice, we're just hitting it from different angles. That's all. We're breaking down the sensitivities of the subject and the concept of the solstice. So again, when it approaches, you can take a deep breath in. You can breathe in the fullness of it and not necessarily feel like you're on the outs, which I know happens so often in our learning when we're just not trained in certain things, or of course we don't see the relevancy of certain information to what it is that we're doing. Now, of course, the solstice can always be, because I know a lot of you listening, are coming from an Orisha perspective, and of course the solstice work can. Your easy connection you have right there is just the Nigerian New Year, which is in June. Okay, so that right there tells you time for renewal. So if you want to make it simple and give yourself an opportunity to say, okay, well, there is a connection with what I do in terms of how I'm connecting and touching and speaking on these different things. If I look at the Kojoda, and the Kojoda is what we call the calendar, for our Nigerian year, and we say, okay, we have Okudu, which is the beginning of the year that occurs, what we would call in the Anglosphere the New Year, but having that Okudu in June lets us know already, okay, well, something is happening new. Something we're beginning something here. And, during that time of year, one of the things that we do to celebrate, the Okudu is we crack open the obi. We break open the obi. And the obi, of course, is the kola nut. You see, so we crack the obi because, breaking open the obi, symbolizes breaking open the world, and essentially what that means when we break the world open, the world reveals its mysteries to us, you see. We open up the world so that it will reveal its mysteries to us. One of the reasons why we use the obi as one of the holy grails for divination, and of course there are many stories and patakis surrounding the obi itself. Some I have shared, and grasping the root of divine power. But so yeah, so we already know just off of that, if anyone is wondering, how does these concepts, outside of, let's just say, the occult value of them, how would they relate for me if I'm completely and totally sold out and invested in maybe that culture? Can I still find my place in it? Absolutely. And let me also reiterate that we're speaking about like when I was speaking about Ra yesterday, and Atum Ra and Amun Ra and Kepra, and all of those ideas that we see coming forth from Kemet. Understand that you're also speaking about Nigerian culture. So one of the reasons why you'll hear me reference Kemet and sometimes even Uganda, it's good to learn and to know the migratory patterns in that sense, you know. But so what I wanted to speak a little bit about today, and as you've all probably noticed, as of late, I have brought the show times down to a reasonable uh, 60 minutes or so, or maybe sometimes a little bit over, which is usually what I'm aiming for. But a lot of times, once I start sharing a little bit and questions are coming forth and stuff, it stretches and extends. And that's why, I always urge you to put your questions on the videos, put them in the comment section of the videos, especially sometimes when I'm teaching. I'm not always as in tune with the chat to see the questions. I have to scroll through, and that tends to extend things. But if you put them on the actual comment section, of the videos, then I can answer them the next day. All right. So I'm gonna urge you more to do that. I've told you more than once, so you now know what to do, or you've known what to do. All right. But I wanted to speak a little bit about the Cancerian aspect, okay? Because we know that at the height and the zenith of said solstice, we enter into that domain and that heaven and hell, the light side and as well as the dark side of Cancer, or the crab, or as we spoke about in ancient Kemet, Kepra, or Kepper, the scarab. And of course I have done a segment previous on scarab, on Kepper, excuse me. So but I wanted to cover a little bit here and of course remind you all that that is the constellation, or that is the zodiacal energy that we come into, that scarab, during the height of our solstice. So what would that mean? Now, we do have crabs representative in our Yoruba culture as well. The crab, or the Cancerian energy, just to make it really simple, it typically represents a couple of things. I'm going to focus more on Kepra more than the actual Cancer crab, but even though it was kind of moved from one place to another in terms of its animal form, there's still value in understanding what the cancer is as well. When I mean the cancer, understanding that cancerian crab, there's also a lot of value there too. So I'm not gonna completely throw it out because it's a bit more, we'll say, Greek in nature, because there is still some light there that we can glean from that. So, when you're looking at the word crab, real simple, easy, um, the word itself just means to scratch, you know. So of course, knowing that makes it kind of interesting, knowing that Ifa means to scratch or to mark. So when you're dealing with that Cancerian energy of the crab, you're scratching, you're going under. And of course, there is a reference there to even the crab having that hard shell and having moments when it needs to uh, abandon that shell and take on another one, you see. But it's constantly protecting that soft meat, the very soft self and vulnerable self that lives inside. So, you know, when we have this idea of the crab, shedding its shell in that sense, abandoning its shell, and moving to a different space, it's the idea of taking on a new body or killing the body. You see, like we spoke about yesterday, abandoning the body during the solstice in order to take on a new one. And a new body basically means a new human consciousness or a new ego, establishing a new ego. So it's almost like, we know it's a resurrection, it's a rebirthing in a sense during that solstice. So during that winter solstice you have a rebirthing body, and obviously a killing of spirit to a degree. And during the summer solstice, you have a rebirthing of spirit and killing of the body. So it's the symbol. You're always casting something off. In that sense, something is always coming off of you. Something is always being cast off of you. And if you want to get deeper into the crab a little bit, if you want to kind of play with that a bit, I would urge you to read the Tales of Hercules, and you could just fast forward however you want to do it, but go to the tale where he's battling Hydra, and it was Carcinus or Carcinos, which was actually the name of the crab that he stepped on the head of the crab. He kind of crushed the crab under his foot. Carcinus, the crab, had bit his foot. you know so we have that symbol, that constellation of the crab. So if you want to do some more decoding and break down there a little bit, certainly do that. But I can give you a shortcut. Just read Hercules with the Hydra, and how Hera sent the crab and everything like that. So that will help you. So the crab, in that sense, where he bit Hercules' foot, it represents that power to hold on to something. You see, that power to hold on. I don't want to decode it for you. I want you to have fun with it. But so in that sense, like I said, that's the crab, the casting away of things, and the idea that the crab also represents, to a degree, like I said, I won't get into that too much. Taking on the new bodies, right? Now let's get over to the scarab. I want to jump over to Kemet. Feel like I spent enough time in Greece now. Greece has got its 5 minutes in the sun. Let's go to Kemet. And like I said, if you want to go deeper, and I've done actually segments dealing with just that constellation in that moment. So you can find those. They're floating around the cybernet somewhere. They're floating around. So again, in Kemet, during that time of year where we had that solstice, we came into that season of Kepra, which of course is the transformation or the transformative energy represented by the dung beetle. And the dung beetle, of course, is an amazing phenomenon in many senses, representing self-regeneration. That's the raw aspect, coming of itself, coming into itself of itself, because of course we know it plants its eggs in its own dung, so it actually reproduces itself by itself. Okay, so that's an important thing for you to understand about the dung beetle. If you hadn't, I don't expect too many of you have done an in-depth study on the mating habits of the Egyptian dung beetle, unless you just find that information particularly fascinating. But it regenerates itself. So that's an easy thing for you to understand. And it rolls its eggs essentially in this dung beetle for 28 days. And then on the 29th, typically it will roll it into some water, which allows the the larvae, the eggs, to come forth. So what's significant there? As soon as you hear 28 days, what are you hearing, right? And also in knowing that the original month span for and even in our Yoruba was 28 days. All right. So that's what I'm telling you. For those of you who are wondering, man, I really want to learn the Yoruba stuff. He keeps talking about Kabbalah and this Egyptian stuff and everything. Trust me, I'm talking about the same thing. As I've often told you, never think that anyone is coming up with all of these determinations and calculations in one backyard, and then going on this crusade to walk around the world and spread one set of teachings, and the rest of the world is in darkness, and this one individual is the light that goes from place to place and educates everyone. You know that's just Western foolishness. We have this single prophet that lights up the entire world. We're connected. There's a unified field of consciousness. So if I am in my backyard and I am meditating and I am discovering things, there's correspondences. There's even human doppelgangers around the world where we're all probably doing the same thing around the same time. We're transmitting and receiving information from each other at the same time. Even across the earth plane. Some of your transmissions and your communications are not just with ancestors and astral spirits, but also there's a telepathic link that we have with one another. So if I come up with a discovery, or I discover something that was already there, then I have the opportunity to share that. You see, I have the opportunity to share that telepathically, as someone may do with me as well. So all of these things are related. So again, going back to the idea of Kepler, right? And with Kepler, or Kepler, like I said, it's self regenerating, um, and that Kepler, that scarab, deposits it's fertilizing, or it's reproductive fluids and into this dung ball, and in that moment, it begins to push its life forward, or it pushes its future forward in that sense. So one of the things that we look at when we're looking at our regeneration of the solstice, right? We look at the idea of Kepler and its relationship to the word keeper, and we say, oh, this one's a keeper. you know he's a real keeper, or she's a real keeper. And then we relate the idea of Kepler or Kepra with the Cancerian idea, which means to grab hold. It means to scratch, but it also represents metaphorically to hold on to something. So we see this idea of holding or keeping being very significant during the solstice. Well, what is it that we're holding or that we're keeping? What is it that we're trying to maintain? Or, we're trying to, well, one thing's being lost, and another thing is being restored, or another thing is being re-strengthened in that sense. So very similar to how the dung beetle of 28 days is pushing its own eggs and pushing its own future, because it's children, right? Pushing its own eggs forward, very similar to how the sun is pushed, across the heavens, and then it dips those eggs, it dips that dung ball into the water. And I spoke to you about the solstice representing a time where we dip back into the source of our origins. We resource, or we source. We go back into our own origins in order to recharge. What is it that's kept? What's kept is our original orders, our original ideas, our original sourcing, the things that we identify with, and maybe really in a maternal sense. The mission that we identify with, that we need to have strengthened, that we need to have reproduced, even in the sense, through the power of our self-creation, through the power of our self-will, representing that Ra, or that light, or that Orun, that stream of Orun that exists inside of all of us, or Ori that exists inside all of us, becomes our self-willing, our self-direction, our self-motivation, our self-propelling, you see? And it's that the extension of that influence that allows us to go back into the water, very similar to, again, pushing that dung ball into the water, up the valleys and hills. Now, if you ever look at the actual movement of that dung beetle, it always kind of pushes that roll, that dung ball. Like when it gets to a hill, it will push it to the top of a little crest, and it will allow it to flow down the hill, like into little valleys and things like that. So it's like it almost purposely seeks out um, hills and valleys to push into, to allow that ball or those eggs to go up and down, which of course signifies the movement of the sun. You know, going into the horizon, coming up and going down into the horizon, going up, coming down into the horizon. So you have this highlight in terms of the solstice where there's a rhythm that's present. You see, there's a rhythm of rising, there's a rhythm of recession. And during that time of recession, it allows us to connect to our roots. That's what we're keeping. That's what we're holding on to. We're holding on to our ancestral origins. You see? So, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Let me mute. I forgot to mute the phones before I started. You know how that goes. Okay. All right, cool. Just wanted to make sure that wasn't an emergency. But so yeah, it's that idea of when you're respecting those rhythms, you're dropping back. Because if you look at the idea of the dung beetle, look at the idea of the crab, and you even look at the, like I said, the stories with Hercules and the Hydra and him stepping on the crab, it represents the humility of the crab. Like, you may not even see it down there, or even of the dung beetle, may not even see it down there. So to that degree, it represents a degree of humility. So with that humility, it's a time where we become quiet. We become more reflective within ourselves. We become more sensitive to how we have to drop down into a deeper respect and humbling of our lives' rhythms. Some people during a certain time, I was speaking to someone recently, an elder, and going through a certain kind of counseling. I was counseling the family through an issue, and he had mentioned something I was not aware of. It was basically something that the matriarch of that family does, which in many senses could be seen as very unhealthy. And he said, she does this every year around the same time. And I had no clue that. I knew she had done it before, but I didn't, those elders, they keep the record. So he said, yeah, this is something that I've seen her do, me personally. This is the second time I've seen her do it. He said, no, man, I've counted. He said, this is the 13th time she's done this. She's been doing this for the past 13 years. Same time every single year. You see? So sometimes we need an opportunity to tune into our own horoscope, our own horoscope, where we're going up and down those valleys and peaks, and we tune into our own independent rhythm that's independent of the collective rhythm of everyone else around us. And that solstice gives us a time to come into that space and realize that, because if you look at the Cancerian energy, right, whether you're looking at it from the scarab perspective or the actual crowd perspective, it represents people who are highly sensitive, and people who become really sensitive and I'd say even possessive to a degree. They almost become like hoarders because they have a fear of losing things, you see. So they scrape everything into their shells. And when you have that moment and that opportunity to recharge into your source, you're reminded that nothing can be lost. You see, you have that moment when you can step into that sun again, or step into that water again, which is really what it is. You're stepping into that recharging water, and that sense of rejection that you held previously, or that sense of losing that you held previously, you're able to shake that off. You see, so like we said, when you're looking at Kepler or Kepra, if you're looking at you know uh, the cancers, I almost forgot for a moment. And like I said, it represents that keeping, or that holding, the claws, holding on, like he held on to Hercules' foot. And of course, the foot is transformation. Let me not give you too much. But anyway, holding on in that sense, right? Why is the holding on, or the keeping of Kepler? Why does that have to be looked at? Why are we looking at the things that we're holding on to? Because our ego tells us that, um, think will be rejected in life. Our ego tells us that we're always losing things in life. So we have to constantly hold on. We have to use our physical means to keep people in our lives, to keep friends in our lives, to keep possessions and even concepts, ideas, and thoughts in our lives. We have to do that to constantly support where we want to be emotionally. So we become very dependent on having certain things in our lives in order to support our emotions. You see, so the idea there, even like when you look at Kepra moving its tongue across the Kemetic sands, like I said, when it gets to the peak, it will not throw, but let me not say it will push the dung ball down a long slope. So it gives it an opportunity to let go. You see, and even when it pushes it into the water, in order for it to be reborn, those eggs in there, for them to actually properly gestate, you see, it gives it an opportunity to let go once again. So it really becomes an alchemical process in that sense. It becomes an alchemical process. And, it's really easy to overlook a lot of times the necessary rhythms that we need to all have in our lives. It's very easy to overlook that. It's very easy to overlook the horoscope, you know, where our light raises, where our light falls. But of course, these are things that, as we're pushing the setting sun, as we're pushing the rising sun, which is basically, we're pushing the setting sun, that's Osir. We're pushing the rising sun, that's Haru. So as we're pushing these ideas through, and the sun at its zenith is Ra. So just so you understand, the rising sun is Haru. The sun at its highest point, or let's say noontime, would be Ra, and the sun when it's setting would be Osir. Okay, so but when we're pushing that process of the rising and falling and the movement of the sun, sometimes it's very difficult to stay in tune with our original purpose. You know, as we're succeeding and we're failing, or we're ascending and we're descending, sometimes it's very difficult to remember that this is all a part of our success path. This is all a part of what we're doing to stay, to maintain our depictions of what success and achievement is going to be and it's going to look like in our lives. So during that solstice period, we receive an opportunity to pull back and say, okay, what are the prominent things in my life? You know, what are prominent things that I'm holding on to, that I'm seeking to maintain, uh, that maybe don't necessarily hold or support the principles and the symbols of the entire universe that I'm seeking to create within my thinking. You know, basically, where's the dead weight? Just to put it in very simple terms, man. Where is the dead weight? And what are some of the principles that I'm keeping, that are not allowing me to go through this process, and not allowing me to go through my zeniths, and allowing me to go through my valleys, and allowing me to go to my peaks, with the proper direction, with the proper ability to sidestep situations that may happen here and there. It's very similar to when we look at the Sagiti, in our Yoruba culture. If anyone is familiar with the Sagiti, of course, the Sagiti is something that we use in our homes, and it's a protective fetish that we create for the homes. We put one in the front of the home, near the front door, and we typically will put one near the back door as well. And when you're utilizing the Sagiti, of course, you're using it for protection. You're using it from not just protection from like home intruders, but you're also using it as protection for diseases that may try to enter your home, or legal affairs, that legal entanglements that may try to come, or iku, or death. So it's so many different things that you may use it for in that sense. Arun, or fatibo, or iku. All of these different problems that may, come in one's life. And the when we look at the sacred Odu that we use a lot of time to feed when we're creating the Sigidi, before we feed it, and one of the things that we'll do, we'll read that or we'll recite, I should say, rather, that sacred Pataki, where it speaks about the time um when death called. Death came to the front door and told the Sagidi to step aside, I'm coming in. And the Sagidi just like gave death the ice grill. Like, didn't even answer, didn't say anything, but was basically just like, listen, I'm not moved, I'm not shaken by you. So death was like, what? Death was almost indignant. He cool. So he cool goes to the back door and says, all right, well, I'll go to the back door. But there was another Sagidi there. And Sagidi did the same thing again, was like, listen, anybody scared of you over here? So death was like, man, if you're that bad, if you're that tough, then to act like this, then you're somebody I should avoid. You see? So that's and of course the pataki. That's the pataki that goes along with that. Of course, it's said a little bit different. And usually when we say it in singing form, of course. But I'm not doing all of that right now. All right. And of course, that's something to learn about. So anyway, it's very similar with that Cancerian energy, where it's the you're holding on to certain things that are precious. You see, you're not learning. That's the hard shell of that Cancer. You're not letting certain things come in that would again affect the soft spirit, because sometimes through our journeys, man, we allow so many different things to numb our spirits. We allow. I knew this was going to happen. I'm just going to comment on this real quick. So Haru Wajet said, is that spelled Sagidi? And that's the same as the Gede? If not, what's the difference? Sister Diana Williams says, how do you spell it? So you always want the spells and the charms. I knew that was gonna happen. That was almost a little test I just did. I knew that was gonna happen. As soon as I start talking about some hoodoo and some charms, here y'all go. Now y'all wake up. How do you spell that? Where can I get one of those? I think I seen something like that. What does it look like? Can I just buy that? And if I buy that, do I have to do any certain thing with it? Can I just put it at my front door? Because I've been feeling some kind of way lately. I feel like something's trying to attack my house. Can I? So what should I do? Would I just pour Florida water all over it? Would I do that? The Florida water? No, Florida water's not enough. Do I have to do a sacrifice? Can I put period blood? Well, I don't have no more period blood because I'm going through menopause. Can I use somebody else's period blood? You see, never fails. Never fails, boy. How do you currently keep death and sickness and loss and court cases away from your home? How do you currently do it? I always tell you, and I'm going to have to tell you again because it's always so necessary. The mentality that you go into a ritual with is amplified by the activity of the ritual. You amplify it. If your mind isn't right, you're just going to make a mess. I don't care how many fetishes you go and grab up and, feel like you're doing it up real big. If your mind is not right, which is all the stuff that we've been talking about, you are going to shoot your eye out. Okay? So, I mean, you may not believe me. You may think I'm just trying to keep you from the good stuff, and I'm just being sneaky or something, but I'm really not. But, sometimes you have to go shoot one of those eyes out. You got to be like ʻsaɪki, walking around one eye and one ear and one leg and one arm before you realize, oh, I should have just used some of that wisdom that he was giving me. He knew what he was doing you know. But I knew that was going to happen. As soon as I said Sagitty, I said, let me see what's going to happen. I said, I bet you they're going to start asking me about that. Here we go. Esme Forbes says, what makes a Sagitty stronger than death? Is it older and therefore know how to deflect death? See what I'm saying? And not even spelled properly. So that means before you're trying to put anything like this into your home, there's probably a whole lot more learning that you need to take on before you start grabbing up pots and things and pictures and shrines and throwing them all into your home. You see, that's why if you look at my book, Shrine and Altar, I spent a lot of time just explaining to you how different elements interact with each other and why we use certain elements. I spent a lot of time doing that instead of just saying, hey, take this picture of this, put it on your shrine, light this color candle, put it on your shrine, put that oil on your shrine. I didn't do that in that book. I got you working with the basic elements that you're already surrounded with every single day. That's where I started. You see, so there's a reason. there's a reason why we do that, man. Start with the things that you need to understand first. But I got to go back to the old shows. I got to go back to what I used to say early on in the segments. This is not a vending machine. All right. This is not a vending machine. So, don't come in with the idea where, oh, I walked by this Nigerian shop, you see, and they had this in there, so I bought it and I put it in the house because a guy told me it would do this or do that. You have to form a relationship, Esme. So I would like to know more about that. Yeah. Know more about yourself first. Know more about repairing the damage with yourself first. When I'm giving you these different examples, like I'm talking about the scarab, I'm talking about Ra, I'm talking about the zodiac. I've already talked about that these are elements existing inside of your own universe, internal to you. I'm talking about the internals of you first. Deal with that before you start running out and buying fetishes, because you will hurt yourself. And I guarantee you within a month, you'll be burying those fetishes somewhere in the woods, crying, trying to figure out what happened to your life. Or you'll be throwing them in the water over a bridge somewhere. Money wasted. And whatever harm may be done. And I'm not trying to say anything spooky to you, anything like that, but I'm just trying to say that, remember, Psyche. Psyche is a deity. Psychology is a religion. Psyche means the soul, or to touch the soul. So your psychology is your touching your soul, the study of your soul, or the study of touching your soul. If you try to skip over that process, which so many do foolishly, if you don't understand and learn your own psychology just isn't learning why I like grape Kool-Aid over, yellow Kool-Aid. I don't know the flavors. I only know grape. But I like the purple Kool-Aid over the yellow Kool-Aid or the red Kool-Aid. Psychology that's part of it, but it's not just that. But it's also understanding the workings of your soul. So now when you're learning about the solstice and you're seeing the divine connection between the Son of Man and your inner son, or what we call the Iwaju, or what we call the pineal, or the pineal, or the first eye, or the third eye, or the brow chakra, and you start to see the sacred connection between them all, you see, then you're able to actually, then you could get a fetish of Kepra. You can get a fetish of Heru, or Herukuti, or of Ra. Because those images and those statues you buy are also considered fetishes. They just have to be fed a certain way. A lot of times they're not fed, or you might go and get yourself a Sagitty that somebody already used in their home. What kind of energy is on it? Did that Sagitty go to war? Did it go to war with an element that you already have existing in your home? Or let's try this. Where your ancestors are from, the nation that your ancestors are from, did that Sagitty come out of a nation that's at war with your nation? And I'm using the word nation as an interchange for the word tribe. You see? If you don't know how to speak to these energies and you're not in tune with yourself at that level, you may be grabbing a toxic bomb to go put into the middle of your home because they look cool. Remember, in our culture, art is not just art. Art is a declaration and an expression of the unseen. You see, so all art, quote unquote, is alive. It carries not only the solar symbolism, but it carries the moon symbolism, the earth symbolism, the feminine symbolism, the masculine symbolism. But the symbolism is the spirit of those things. So the sun spirit, the moon spirit, the earth spirits, the ancestral spirits. You see, the astral spirits are imbued in every piece of art that we touch. Now, what if one of those energies you currently have an imbalance with? I know it's very tempting, peace, brother Haru. I know he always has to go to work. Same time, every time, to 7:45. But I know it's very tempting just to jump on those things and say, hey, I'm gonna grab this and grab that. And I went and got a reading, and this priest told me I need to be initiated, and I'm gonna go get myself initiated because I'm having all kind of problems in my life and this and that. You can stay and play with the little BS information, or you can come up here where we're doing some real things. I've been saying that for the longest. Y'all keep thinking I'm joking. The little BS information is people selling you little charms and stuff online. Or I've seen like specially anointed um, uh, certain things and stuff like that, man. If your psychology is not right, you buying a bunch of worthless junk. I'm keeping it real with you. And I have a store where I sell herbs and products and things like that. I don't sell any charms. But before, even a lot of times when people call me, here, I'll give you a real example. A lot of times people call me, say, Chief, I want to get a life path reading with you. Should I get it now? And they just joined the class maybe that dawning. And they'll email me, I want to get a life path. And you guys can attest to this. A lot of times I will say, no, hold off. You got time. Yeah, but I want to know what I'm here to do. Well, even if I give you the life path reading, you ain't going to do it. Because I guarantee you, until you get the training, you don't have the motivation or the introspection to actually do anything with the information that you're hearing. So it's just going to sit there and be dead information, which is dangerous because dead intelligence becomes disincarnate spirit. Remember, your spirits that are around you are a product of your thoughts, so they're thought projections. So now I do a reading for you. You find out you're supposed to do something grand, but you're too afraid to do it. So now it just lingers around. It's like getting a reading if somebody tells you that you're supposed to have a child, but you're too afraid to have a child. So what happens? This is real easy. Think about it. You create the child spiritually, but you now created something that you don't have the wherewithal or the ability to hold on to, or to nurture or to feed, because you're still trying to nurture and feed and understand that child that's inside of you that's all broken up. You see what I mean? So a lot of times, man, when you hear me breaking down the psychology and the thought, and a lot of times I'm giving you the indigenous thought. This is how we think indigenously. This is how we're going forward indigenously, how we do things. These are the minds that came up with the idea of the Psyché and the paradigm of the Psyché, or Iku, the Lord of the Underworld, who we also, and Iku would be Anpu, or Osir, but or Hades, but this is the mind that came up with that, you see. And if you don't understand that, or you don't take time to learn that mind, it's really kind of a disrespectful thing. It's kind of disrespectful. And trust me, man, those of you who've been around for a while, you may know a little bit, but those of you who will stick around for a while, just take some time. And I'm not about trying to kick other people's back in or try to tear down what other people are doing. I'm definitely not. But at some point, you will be able to look around and see that some of the things that you always initially want, that certain type of people will immediately satisfy for you, all of the people surrounding them are doing bad, and usually they are too. Like someone could call me right now and say, Chief, I want you to make me a spaghetti. Yeah, I could make it. I'm gonna make some money off of it if I make it for you. But I'm gonna say no. Depending on who it is. Let me say that. Depending on who it is, because I know who's been studied or who's not studied, and who will know how to deal with the spaghetti, or who will do something stupid like have the spaghettis in their house and then be throwing their coats on top of it, or putting their hats when they come home and using it as a hat rack. And so I know who's going to do stupid stuff like that, and who's just going to end up hurting themselves, man. You know, But then I know some who really respect the tradition, have been studying, have been doing what they're supposed to do, have been going through the class and all type of things like that. So it's different, you see. But that's what I always tell you. Like a lot of times when I say things, and I know maybe you guys may not like it. You may not like what you're saying, and I always say, don't worry, you can tune in somebody else. Somebody else will be stroking your ego. Somebody's on Blog Talk Radio right now stroking your ego. On YouTube right now stroking your ego. You can go somewhere else and get someone to agree with all the wrong things you want to do. Go ahead. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with it. There's a variation there of junk food and healthy food, and there's more junk food out there. That's why when we try to eat healthy, what happens? What do we say, man? I can find anything to eat, because McDonald's sells salads, and you go and mess around, eat that stuff if you want. You better off fasting. So this is what I'm saying. It's like there's more garbage out there than good stuff, and there's always people who will satisfy your want. Well, I want to learn this. I want this. I want that. We'll go over there to one of them. They're going to teach it to you wrong, because they probably don't know it themselves, because anybody who knows it for real knows how to give it. They know how to give it. Like, there's a lot of elements of the spaghetti that I didn't even tell you just now. I did that on purpose. I did that on purpose. I'm not telling you but so much. I didn't even tell you what the spaghetti looks like. I did that on purpose. Now, in earlier set, I think I may have spoken about a spaghetti one time, and I gave a slight description. Because you can find them. You can go to like African marts. A lot of times in Nigerian, art stores where they have a lot of statues and stuff. You reach down, sometimes they got to go through the rubble of all the statues they have. They say, no, I think I have something like that. I have something like that. And they'll find you one. You mess around if you want. The spaghetti is made for a house. So if it's sitting in a store somewhere, it's already been fed, charged, and enlivened for a specific purpose, and you don't know why it's no longer in that person's house. You don't know if that person is still alive. You don't know if their spirit is in that spaghetti. But trust me, the brother will sell it to you, because half the time they ain't in tradition anyway. They don't care. Yeah, take it. If you're gonna be dumb enough to buy it, I'll be foolish enough to sell it. So I know it's difficult imagining being an initiate of certain mysteries, but that's actually the science of your solstice. The initiates in some of the ancient mysteries and Kemet, excuse me, they were called Kepra. They were called Kepra. So like how we say Awo, or really we say Sawo or Yawo, they were called Kepra. So that coming into the mysteries and understanding and being able to behold and respect and value the small things that those initiations or that information represents was vital. Was vital. Things are not as concealed as you might imagine if you're devoted and you continue to put the proper virility and the proper strength and courage into trusting the glorious colors of your own development. You'll blossom out into different ways, or like we look at the scarab with its unfolding wings, you see, that are multicolored. That's the blossoming of your information, of your knowledge, man. But Don't try to skip around and, well, let me just get this. Let me just get. I'm not stupid enough to do that. You guys should know that by now. I'm not stupid enough just to go by you, but go by what you're demanding, because you don't know what to ask for. You don't know if you should have a ʻsaɪki or something else. You don't know. Maybe it's not the ʻsaɪki you need. Maybe it's something in the house that needs to be taken out. Solstice is about what? Killing the body. What is the body? The human attachments. You see? The human attachments. Sometimes it's that old carpet that finally needs to be pulled up, rolled up, and put out to the curb because of all the fights grandma and grandpa used to have on it, or you and your ex used to have on that carpet. Maybe you spilt blood on that carpet. Maybe sometimes that's it, or that old chair that you just love so much that it soaked up all of your dead skin and your sweat and your blood and your sexual fluids, because of, maybe that needs to go. Maybe you still got old pictures on your hard drive of your ex that you just can't seem to get rid of. Psyche, psychology. Trust me, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to be. The devil is in the details, and the details are usually slightly hidden. Esme says, okay, I'll leave that alone till I settle myself. Good. I don't want to get in trouble. Good. I just thought that while clearing my energy, that a little protection won't hurt, but that may cause more problems. Clearing your energy is the protection. That is the protection. You are protecting yourself. You'd be surprised how much more protected you'll be in life by coming into better, into higher intelligence. You'd be surprised when you really look at your life objectively and sit on the outside of it, that you realize so many things that have come into your life, spiritually or otherwise, are products of your poor decisions. And when you start to come into deeper and more indigenous and more ancient and primal and successive wisdom, you'll stop doing stupid things all the time. See, that's the part that we don't like to talk about. We just always like to, we're victims. Somebody's after me. No, you do stupid things and there's an effect. Diana says, I just want to read up on it. I think, Sister Diana, you got enough to read up on so far, though, don't you? Why did that? Matter of fact, I ain't gonna address that. That means you ain't listening. Why would that interest you out of everything else that's being said? Did you read up on Kepra yet? Do you know what that is? Did you read up on the dung beetle yet? Did you read up on what the sun is yet? Did you read up on Ra yet? Did you read up on just what the word solstice means? Did you read up on Quetzalcoatl yet? Did you read up on Shakti yet? Did you read up on the sciences of power yet? Or consciousness? Or how it relates itself in the family and all the things that we've been breaking down and I've been giving to you? Nope. You want to read up on it because you want to try to get some protection because you got grandbabies and all that. And, well, I want to protect the grandbaby. Then you become a smarter grandmother. And doing that, remember, where the water goes, the children follow. Where the water goes, the fish go. You flow into a more intelligent direction in your life. And by default, the children, she says, yes, I read up on some of it. Well, some of it ain't enough of it. You know it and I know it. Make more intelligent decisions, and that's the best protection you could give to your family. That's why we talk about the development of character or the development of the ori. What is the ori? The mind. This is why just because you say, okay, I'm leaving it alone, don't mean I ain't still on your ass. That's what y'all like to do when y'all say something that's shouldn't say, and I'm correcting you, then you say, all right, never mind. No, never mind nothing. You need to learn this. Listen, I'm not beating you up or anything like that, but just leaving it alone doesn't mean that you fix the mindset that causes that kind of thinking. All right, this ain't one of those little rinky-dink conscious shows. You know what I mean? We got to fix the way we think. That's what's got us so messed up. Everybody wants to get into conscious information and alternative spirituality. And I'm going to tell you the main reason why y'all all run to this, because there's no structure. There's zero Structure. None. Zero. No one tells you how to dress. No one tells you how to eat. No one tells you how to greet each other. No one tells you protocols of respect. No one tells you how to mate with each other. No one tells you how to raise your children. None of that stuff. So it's like a wonderful escape from all the things that you didn't feel like doing when you were in the church, or when you were in the masjid, or when you were coming up underneath your Rasta parents or your Hebrew Israelite parents, and all these different systems that actually have structure, which is why they're so strong. Which is why they're so strong. And we ain't got one building. Where's the conscious community building that we can all go to? Or the conscious community museum? There's no structure. That's the problem. You see? So yeah, I'm gonna get on your ass because I'm a man. And this is a part of the structure. Men are here. We're gonna teach you. We're gonna give you some light. And you're gonna take it. And if you can't take it or don't want to take it, then you're gonna take your ass on to one of these effeminate guys on YouTube. You know, that they'll yeah, sis, you right. Yeah, sis, and yeah, oh, the spaghetti. Oh, this is a very powerful fetish, and yeah, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of them, man. They're all over the place. But you don't want them. That's why you still listen to this. That's why you still riding with me. So now it ain't just about leaving it alone. It's about learning why you should leave it alone for now, but maybe come back to it later. You know, you could come back to it later. I just she said, you seriously made me afraid. I wasn't trying to make you afraid. You notice I never do the doom and gloom Orisha stuff. If you don't do this, they're going to get angry with you. I don't do that. You notice I don't do that. And I talked against that in earlier shows. But some things I do need to yank y'all. You know, it's like the shepherd with the hook. Some things I need to put the hook on your neck. Come on back here. We can't do that. There's a lot of freedom in Anu, as y'all know. I don't really come with, which maybe is not always a good thing. I don't really always give you all that structure. Do it this way, say it this way, you know. But sometimes y'all, I can feel a shift. Like I said, when I mentioned spaghetti, I said, watch they all start asking me about it. I said, watch somebody says, hey, Chief, how do you spell that? Which shows they ain't even listening to a word I'm saying. I said, watch this happen. And of course, here we go. I mean, I didn't just start doing this, man. I know y'all. I know my people. I keep telling you that. I know my people. And there's a bunch of people listening right now saying, boo, why don't he just teach a man and stop talking? Man, go back to spaghetti. Or a bunch of people saying he's off point who don't get what's going on right now. All of this has to do with the solstice. Letting go of these ideas that are not working for you. You got to deal with the psychology. Why is it that we always want to skip the work and we want to go right to the fetish? We want to go right. Well, let me get my lekes. Let me get my warriors. You know, I need a spiritual cleansing. You need to come and give me a spiritual bath. Nah, Negro, you need to get your mind right. And I'm giving you the information to get your mind right. So that way we're not always in these situations where we need all this protection and stuff. What kind of people are in your circle? What kind of dirtbag energy and low life energy do you bring into your life on a daily? Where do you live? Where do you work? What kind of decisions are you making on a consistent basis? Because we never really want to look at it that there is karma that's in effect. There's cause and effect. If you're experiencing something unpleasant in your life, it is because of something that you did. And I know we always want to come back. Well, you mean to tell me I did this happen to me and I caused that to happen? That happened. That's the ego flaring up because we just can't separate and go to a deep, quiet, silent space, which is what the solstice asks us to do when we're dipping down into the water and look at it and release ourselves from our body ego, our body sense of indignation and entitlement, and say, was it me? Did I do that? Can we do a Steve Urkel? On some level, did I bring that into my world? You know, uh, or ask this question: do I even know what the heck I'm doing? You know, like sometimes I work with different clients, man. They talk to me about money issues. And they say, I don't know what's going on. I feel like there's some blockages. I work hard. I this or that, and I can't seem to save any money. I ask them a couple basic questions, and they coming to me for ritual. I need a money ritual. And I ask them some basic questions and find out this is because of decisions you're making. And on top of that, you don't even know what the heck money is. No one even have you ever taken any classes in finance? Economic? No, no. Money management? No. Do you have a money manager? No. So of course you can't keep any money. You don't even know how to handle it. This is real simple. And you're talking the difference between having money and having wealth. Well, people who work hard really have wealth. You see, so sometimes it's just a lack of education. It's the things that we don't know, and it's a product of us not having a healthy community. And why don't we have a healthy community? Because we don't have any structure. And I can't say we, because that's not all of us. There's structure in Anu, and I have structure, which causes many people to leave Anu. When you let them know, hey, you can't come in here and do whatever you want, man. You can't bring all your dysfunctions up in here and expect us all to accept that. No, stop. You're going to have to stop. You give them those walls and say, there's a path here. Then that's when people get up and leave. Chief is too harsh. Or Chief, we'll take your ass on. We don't want you anyway. Don't let the doorknob hit you in the ass. At some point, somebody has to be strong enough to stand up and say, yeah, structure is necessary. This is what's got us kind of jacked up right now. And there's a way to do things and there's a way not to do things. So, yeah, you may really want that spaghetti, or you may really want your ʻsaɪki right now. Or a lot of people call me and say, Chief, I want to get initiated, or y'all go get initiated with other people. Right? That's a common thing. And I don't want anybody to feel guilty, because I know I'm talking about a lot of people listening right now. Y'all go get initiated with other people because you kind of know within yourself not to even ask me. You kind of, because you're messed up. But those people who you're getting initiated by can't pick up on it. So don't even ask me. You see? So you go and get initiated. I've had students that have gone and gotten initiated in Ifa and come back and say, yeah, Chief, I'm a Babylon like you now. You must be out of your freaking mind. I don't even hardly even call myself a Babylon. To give you some indication, just because you went and paid somebody for a little weekend certification doesn't mean anything, or weekend initiation doesn't mean anything. What do you know about the culture? What have you given into the culture? Or did you just come to take like a colonialist? You see, so I'm giving you the culture of your own psychology and teaching you how to explore it. I'm not telling you what to think, but how to crack open, some of these different pyramids and tombs that exist inside of your own psyche. So that way, when you then encounter some of this information and some of these ideas, you can hold on to them. They're not fleeting and sinking all the time within your psyche, but they're actually buoyant. They're staying on top of the water, and you can use them, and you can actually do some wheeling and dealing. You see, it's kind of similar to the question that was asked to me about Kabbalah recently. And it's cool to have the terms, but you have to understand how the terms and the concepts link together with one another. It's not just enough to have the term. Well, this that Sephiroth over there. That's that. That's that. This is the Ruach. This is the Ruach. This is this. You need more than that. Anybody can memorize a pie chart, but you have to understand the psychology and the mentality that went behind creating that pie chart or creating that tradition. Who were the people who said, let's make it a tree? Why is it a tree? Why isn't it a spider web? And on top of that, why do we find that tree in so many other traditions? What is so significant about the tree? Even in Yoruba tradition, we have the palm tree that grows from Ile Ife. Tree of good and knowledge, of good and evil. Why all these trees all the time that we're working with? What is it in the human psyche, the collective human psyche, that sees trees as so sacred? And you got to go beyond just saying, I like trees. I like to hug trees. Trees send us messages. See, that's that little kitty online YouTube information people say. You should hug a tree because a tree is an ancient being. It's a divine, sacred being that has a lot of power in it, a lot of spiritual power, a lot of ashe. So when you see a tree, you should show that tree respect because it's got a lot of ashe. You can feel the energy coming off of a tree. That energy coming off of a tree will give you a lot of power and ashe, or a lot of ashe and power. Ashe. You know what I mean? 30,000 views. Easy. Garbage. Straight up garbage. Garbage information. Tell me why a tree has bark. Tell me why a tree has roots. Tell me where those roots grow. Tell me why trees and branches look like the veins in my body. Tell me why it has leaves. Tell me why birds go into the trees. Tell me why leopards climb trees and chill out in them. Tell me the sacred connection between the monkey and a tree. What is a monkey? Why is the monkey's name Mon-ki? And what is the sacred connection between the Mon-ki and Khnum? Why is the Mon-ki considered to be God in many traditions? Why do we have the baboon? And the baboon is a symbol for Tahuti. And why is that connected to the word Baba? And why is Baba connected to the idea of a tree again? What the heck is a tree? And why is it called tree? Tree. Why is that so similar to the word three? Three. See what I'm saying? Now, you know good and well, you guys know, if I taught a show on a tree, that's how I would be talking. So next time you go to that tree or you see a monkey or whatever, you'd say, man, I know you. Tree, I know you. Beyond just the power, but the power. I know you. I can have a relationship with you. And I understand why there's a neural network between all of you now. Now it makes sense. I get it. You see? Why is some trees depicted in our mythology as being upside down, whereas some are up are right side up? Yeah. I get it now. You see what I'm saying? So that's what you're gonna get from me. I'm sorry. That's what you're gonna get from me. You're gonna get it thorough. You're gonna get it, and you're gonna get it good, and you're gonna learn it like it. That's what's gonna happen. Or you can you know, consciousawakenings.com or wherever. I don't know if that's a real site, but it sounds about right? That sounds like what we do. Conscious Awakenings, the magic of the melanated universe, or what's a good one? Black spirits. Well, actually, that was one that I was going to use, so let's scratch that. Queens of conscious melanin magic and power from the womb verse. You can go to any one of those. You know what I mean? And you can get the garbage. You can get the garbage. But I'm not going to give you the garbage, man. I'm too old for that. You can't be my age and still be teaching kindergarten information, because the truth is, it's not even kindergarten information, because I wouldn't teach that garbage to a child. I really wouldn't. If I was going to teach about the sacred divine role of a tree to a child, honestly, you know where I would start? I'm going to keep it real. I would start with the bark. And I would start with identifying different forms of trees. That would be our lesson. That's it. Trees and leaves. You know, what kind of tree is that? What kind of tree is that? What is that tree used for? What is that tree used for? Let's look at the bark. Why do we use barks for the bark for certain things that we use? We may not use the root for. We may not use the leaves for. You know, what kind of barks are edible? Can we make tea out of this particular bark? What will it do? That's it. That's it. They're gonna be on that for a couple of years. And then what happens to all of that? They start to see that the gift that the tree gives to us. They form their own relationship by learning the science of the actual tree. You see, they learn its sacred role through the utility. His tongue is getting heavy now. That's that Ramadan fasting. You know, so I've been messing with words a lot lately. My mouth is dry. But yeah, they learn certain utilities of it, which teach them the sacredness of it. They learn to appreciate it. Then we can get into the mythology of it. By the time they get into the mythology of it, you know, it only really just lets them know what cultures around the world are awakened. That's all. That's all it does. What cultures around the world are awakened. You see? Yeah. Enough with all that. I didn't go all through the chat like I normally do. And yes, design's not defined because we're in a microwave society. You're absolutely correct. And it's killing us. Just like the microwaves in your microwave are killing you. It's killing us, man. We've lost our respect for process. And we don't realize it's not getting us anywhere. We've been doing hoodoo and basement, you know, African spirituality for a long time now. It's time to come up out the basement. You know, it's time to come from up underneath the underground and take this stuff overground and do something real and apply it in a real way, man. You know, I was speaking about that yesterday. I was with a brother and I was giving him a lift somewhere. And we were speaking about someone I had saw who does a lot of YouTube videos, and he's a very popular teacher. And he's always talking about how the things that he teaches are the things that people in high positions in the world utilize to control the world, and why it's so important to learn those things and things like that. And yeah, I gotta be careful with y'all too, man, because y'all guessed that last one I was talking about. I'm slipping. It might be the Ramadan fuzziness in the head, but yeah, I'm slipping. But anyway, this person talks about that, and I had seen him, you know, but he's a, you know, and no knock against it, but he vends in the streets, you know, his wares, and I was just kind of speaking about that a little bit. You know, I've seen him out in the snow, you know, trying to sell things and get things off and things like that, and I'm saying, if you're saying that the sciences that you have and that you teach are what people utilize to rule the world, why are you not utilizing it for something similar? And even if, you know, because I haven't heard him say, well, I could use it to use the world, but I don't want to. I'd rather remain here on the street with y'all, you know, selling things in the snow. You know, but at some point you have to look and kind of ask some of those questions, you know. Are you really modeling what it is that you're preaching? You know, do you really look like the typification of the qualities of what it is that you're, you know, that you're giving out to the world, that you're sharing with the world? Or are you not even sure if it works or not? Or maybe it doesn't work. Maybe they're not using those values. Maybe what they're using is the psychology of your ancestors. This is why they learn your ancestral languages. You see? Maybe they're not so hell bent on learning about your spiritual sciences. Maybe they're more hell bent on learning about the mind that created the spiritual sciences, because that certainly had to be a genius person. Maybe they want your geniusness more than anything, because through your genius, you'll create new spiritual sciences. You'll create new patakis. You can have new patakis, new stories. You know, once you understand what those primordial symbols represent, they could be new stories. They can be new symbols for Ra. I mean, when's the last time any of y'all seen a dung beetle? You know what I'm saying? When's the last time you said that? But I know you don't. I know everyone listening has probably seen a homeless person push a cart across the hood with everything they have in it. I know. It sounds like blasphemy, right? I know. I know. Yes, Jesus loves me. Says, greetings, Chief. How does fasting for Ramadan help you? In different ways it helps. You want to do it with me next year? Answer me that question. You want to fast with me? If so, I'll give you the science next year. You know, I know there's a delay, so I'm gonna wait for an answer. While I'm doing that, I'll go to the other things. Um, I don't know, man. Y'all talking a lot here. Charlambo says most of that art has talismans and veves on them, ritualistically prepared. Yep, fed. Point is, what you got to key into ritualistically fed. Fed. Got to be careful. Designs not defined said before I felt comfortable doing any type of spiritual work, I had to clear a lot of things from my mental. Yeah. Or you will shoot your eye out. Okay, sure, Chief. Yeah, that sounds like a weak yes, though. Yes, Jesus loved me said, sure, Chief. That sounded kind of weak. But we'll see next year. We'll see. But yeah, we'll do it next year and I'm gonna break down the whole thing to you. Yeah. Off air. We ain't sharing all that on air. All right. Okay, so that's enough for me. I'm ready to go now. I got a lot of things to do. This is another strong, very busy strong, progressive strong for me. So it's a lot of things going on. And yeah, we're still preparing, man. You know, you may notice, like I said, the shows are getting a little shorter. My energy is coming down a little bit. Just kind of slowly I'm slowly going into that hibernative space, you know. So use this as an opportunity. I know during the summer, I know it was when we really, partake and feast on our road rage and backyard barbecue fights. I know, but try to do something, flip the other side. Flip the tree upside down this summer. Try to go into a more silent space, man. You know, just give it, see what happens. You might like it. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow, 1 p.m. Until such time, sedulahouse.com. Peace.